Hey, folks, you're going to hear something today I'll bet you haven't heard yet. And I'd like to hear back from you what you think. The gods of evolution have stricken FEMA with a deadly disease. Originally created to help all Americans harmed by natural disasters, FEMA has become infected with survival of the fittest ideology, which has replaced love your neighbor. You see, in the survival of the fittest era, do unto others as you would have them do unto you has been replaced by do unto others as they have done unto you. You see, the problem with FEMA is not DEI or the woke agenda. See, like FEMA, DEI and woke ideologies are only symptoms of do unto others as they have done unto you. This is Brad Bright. Welcome to the God is Issue podcast, where I show how God is the issue in every issue. See, the real problem with FEMA is the infestation of amoral leaders who embody survival of the fittest. They have rejected God's mandate to love your neighbor as yourself and replaced it with Darwinian ideology that some people really are more valuable than others, survival of the fittest. Now, Marn'i Washington, the fired FEMA employee who admitted to intentionally excluding damaged Florida homes that displayed Trump yard signs, this is what she said. Why is this coming down on me? I was simply following orders. My orders come from my superior, and I simply execute. It reminds me of the scene in A Few Good Men where two soldiers, Downey and Dawson, were court-martialed for following orders to haze fellow soldier Santiago, who had an underlying heart condition. Because of his heart condition, the hazing killed him. After a guilty verdict was read, Downey turned to Dawson and said, "I don't understand. Colonel Jessup said he ordered the code red. What did we do wrong? We did nothing wrong." But Dawson replied, "Yeah, we did. We were supposed to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves." Folks, that's what love your neighbor is all about. You see, Marn'i Washington could have refused to follow orders. She did not. She could have reported her superiors. She did not. At least not until she was caught. Now she's like a child who was sorry she got caught, but not sorry for what she did. If she was sorry, she would say so. Instead, she plays the blame game. I was simply following orders. I'm being framed. You see, this woman is the product of a public school system which teaches Darwinian survival of the fittest ethics while canceling Jesus, who said, love your neighbor. And it's all under the distorted mantra of separation of church and state. But here's the dirty little secret. If God does not exist, then by default, survival of the fittest is the only remaining basis for all human morality. And if Darwin's survival of the fittest is the basis for morality, then Marn'i and her fellow FEMA employees did nothing wrong. In fact, we should probably applaud them. However, this woman is not a hero. She's an amoral snitch trying to save her own skin, trying to survive just like Darwin taught. You see, the former FEMA employees who are now stepping up and exposing the Darwinian policy are not heroes. They actively participated in or helped cover up FEMA's survival of the fittest scheme. This is just one example of what you create when you remove God from education, when you replace love your neighbor with survival of the fittest, when you replace Jesus with Darwin. You see, in my dad's book, God, Who Are You Anyway? He put it this way. We can trace all our human problems to our view of God. And FEMA is just one more example of the reality of that statement. If we want our government leaders to step up and to seek to help all Americans during a crisis, rather than behaving like adolescents favoring their clique over yours, we must pray for revival. We must pray for leaders who reject survival of the fittest as the de facto basis of morality and instead embrace God's basis for morality, love your neighbor, all your neighbors. See, God is the issue in every issue, including how government employees treat or mistreat their fellow Americans. This is Brad Bright. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this podcast helpful, please like and subscribe and even share it with your friends. And when subscribing, don't forget to click on the bell so you'll be notified when I publish a new podcast. God bless. And remember, you can follow Darwin or you can follow Jesus, but you can't follow both.